Hey, it's James Lynch. We're about a week or so away from the UFC's debut on Paramount, and we got a bunch of industry news that I wanted to cover in today's video. Let's start first with ESPN clearing out their MMA talent. This is from Eric Richter, the New York Post. We sort of knew this already because obviously the UFC has a new home for all their MMA content, UFC content, I should say. So this article here reports, I couldn't grab the actual Post one because it's behind a paywall, but it says here, Eric Richter cited sources saying that ESPN has let go nearly all its MMA on-air talent contracts expire this year without renewal. Mainstay MMA personalities such as Daniel Cormier, Chael Sonnen, Dominic Cruz, and John Anik did not have their contracts renewed despite their roles as analysts and good and contributors to original content. Cormier and Sonnen specifically hosted a popular ESPN series, Good Guy, Bad Guy, which was also not re-upped by the network. Brett Okamoto, who played a significant role for ESPN since the start of the deal, will be retained in a journalist role. I did a video on that already. Not surprising because they're all going over to Paramount. Now, Paramount has made some additions as well. Today, at the time I'm recording this, they announced that they have a new host, Katie Scott. I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with her. She works for CBS Sports. We got an article that kind of talks about this as well. It says that Katie Scott will join UFC's official broadcast team for 324. Scott will host the broadcast desk alongside Michael Bisping, Dominic Cruz, Chris Weidman on January 24th. With the debut on Paramount, etc. UFC mainstays Joe Rogan, John Anik, and former UFC heavyweight and light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier will handle the commentary. So a little bit of clarity on that and what's going on. So they've hired a new host. Now, by the looks of it, let me know in the comments if this is wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the case. I don't think Karen Bryant was brought over to the CBS Paramount team. Karen Bryant's been with the UFC dating back to the Fox days. So she's been with the UFC for a long time. So I'm guessing they hired Katie basically to do her role, would be my understanding as well. So yeah, that's a couple new things you'll see next week for the broadcast. Also, the UFC has a Twitter account for the Paramount era. So you can see Paramount UFC is the new one there. They only got 5,000 followers. But this is where they're going to be having all their news. This is basically the equivalent of like ESPN MMA, but on the Paramount side of things. So they've already been posting clips. They got a couple interviews, and then they've got their YouTube channel as well, which is relatively new. Only 3,000 subscribers. They've only got 4 interviews. They got the Nunes one, Kayla Harrison, Justin Gaethje, Patty Pimblett. So this is where all the content's going to live going forward from the UFC on Paramount stuff. And it looks like Shaquille Majori, who you guys know has been doing some writing for CBS and does obviously some interviews on his own YouTube channel. He's got to sit down here with Amanda Nunes. Too bad about that fight being off. But it looks like Shaquille Majori will be sort of a mainstay for the UFC going forward, which is great for him. Nice promotion there. And then in this interview, they've got, who does this one? I think this one was Daniel Cormier. This one was John Anik, and this one was Megan O'Leary. So O'Leary as well being brought over to the Paramount side of things. So just keeping you updated on that because some people obviously wonder what's going on with the new TV deal. Back to Katie Scott. I did see that Ariel Helwani chimed in on this as well. Says, unbelievable coup for the UFC to have Katie join the broadcast team. She's one of the absolute best, most professional, talented host broadcasters I've ever worked with. Fight fan. So that's good. I mean, they're not just bringing over someone who's just, filling a role, right? So the fact that Ariel says she's a fight fan is great. She instantly raises the profile of the events. Massive. So yeah, there we go. Katie Scott. We'll see what type of job she does with the UFC. So that's on the Paramount side of things. And then we had a bit of other news this week as well. Which actually, before we get to that, I want to talk about ESPN's coverage. So I mentioned Brett is obviously staying with ESPN, but this is their coverage basically since the new deal came in. So we've got obviously the Topuria interview from a couple of weeks back. There's a Max Holloway thing that they did, which actually this was a month ago, so that doesn't really count. So they've only had 2 videos since the new year. This Michael Chandler interview with Brett, and then this Trevor Whitman one. I'm really curious to see what type of coverage they have going forward. The fact that they kept Brett makes me think they are still going to cover it, but much less than what they have. And they got to update their banner here because obviously Chael Sonnen and Daniel Cormier not a part of the ESPN era, but 2 million subscribers. I'm curious to see if people are going to start unsubscribing because I don't think the content's definitely not going to be what it used to be, but are they going to tune in for some of these interviews? We'll see. People are going to stick around. But again, if you want to get sort of the equivalent of what ESPN MMA would be, it's over on the Paramount side here. So again, they got to upload more than 4 videos, but I'm sure they will coming into fight week. Again, I like the background and all the cool stuff they're doing. That's one thing I'm curious with, like, are they going to change the graphic scheme and all this stuff? Because I feel like going from Fox to ESPN, there wasn't like a huge difference in the graphics package. Because again, the UFC does all that. It's more of like the broadcast partner sort of hosting it. But by the looks of this stuff, this does look a little bit different than what we're used to. So I'm curious to see if that's something that we will see on the 324 card as far as things that look a little bit different. So I'll be curious to see how that looks on Paramount. Going to be very interesting. Anyways, to the other bit of news that I had here on the thumbnail, we've been waiting to sort of see what is going on with, I mentioned in my last video, Brian Campbell, also going to be part of the CBS and Paramount crew as well. So he leaves Morning Kombat. Chuck Mendenhall is now the new Morning Kombat co-host, one of the biggest shows in the space right now. You can watch the announcement thing right here from Luke Thomas. Let's check it out.
Era in Morning Kombat. Did a show last Monday, and that was the last show with Brian Campbell as the reigning co-host. Of course, as we've said a million times, Brian Campbell will be back, but it was the end of him as sort of like a regular full-time host. So this is the first show without him. You might have been wondering who's going to join me in that other seat. I think I'm finally ready to show you who it's going to be. It is this gentleman. Oh, there he is.
Well. It's funny how you only call when you need something, Luke. How's everybody doing?
This is Chuck Mendenhall. This is the great Charles Mendenhall. How do you feel? What would you like to say? What's on your mind about the future of MK and your role in it?
It feels like coming home because I've been with you guys through a lot of the pre-games. And I know I've sat in a couple of times and co-hosted when Brian was on vacation. So I think you were on vacation a couple of times. It's cool. And, I won't try to be BC. I won't try to do anything like that because I don't eat hot dogs from 7-Eleven. And I certainly don't know too many 90s songs. But check this out. I even wore for the occasion my Morning Kombat. Wow. And I wanted to show you that mine is like Laverne from Laverne and Shirley says Chuck. They actually put Chuck on it. So I feel like this was always destined to happen.
Yeah, dude, even I don't have one that's got my name on it.
That's what's great.
So there you go. I cannot say enough good things about Chuck Mendenhall. There are very few people in our industry that anyone would not say anything bad about, and Chuck's one of those guys. He's just beloved by everyone. If you ever get a chance to meet Chuck, the man with the hat, as he used to be called at MMA fighting, just such a professional, maybe the best long-form writer we've ever had in this sport. He is so good at writing articles and everything. Obviously, he's with Uncrowned as well and so many other things. And this makes sense. I thought it was going to either be him or maybe Jed Meshew. I know Jed's sort of been a co-host every now and then or has guested on the show as well. But I think this works out great. I'm not a huge, I don't watch Morning Kombat a lot, but I know for a lot of people this is a big deal. But I can't recommend Chuck enough. Just, again, to me, the gold standard in this industry when it comes to professionalism and just everything that he does. And, it makes sense with their past history. And these two used to work together, obviously, back in the day at MMA fighting. If you remember, Chuck Mendenhall was there a long time ago, as was Luke, back before Luke obviously left to go do, what was he went Sirius XM. Full time. No, he went to Showtime. Never mind. I was trying to remember what Luke did after this, but yeah, he was with obviously Luke and Chuck were at MMA fighting for a while, and then Chuck has sort of been brought on, like he mentions there, in sort of guest host spots and all that different stuff. But yeah, just happy to see Chuck get another opportunity because I'll tell you something. Like, this is an industry where I've seen a lot of people come and go. The people that I think are very good at the work they do are the ones that are still standing, and Chuck's been one of those. Like, I remember reading Chuck even before I got into this industry, and the fact that he's still out there getting new work speaks volumes to just how great he is. And again, one of the few guys you will never hear anyone say anything bad about because he's just such a great guy. And I think it's cool to see him more on camera. If you guys remember back when they used to do like the MMA beat, he was sort of a regular on there too. So I'll be interested to hear what Chuck has to say about a variety of different topics. But just happy for Chuck, man. Like, big fan of his. And yeah, happy to see him get this role here because I think it's well deserved, and we'll see what the chemistry's like because obviously that was a big thing with Luke and Brian Campbell was the chemistry. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick video on this. Listen, I know this is not going to be like crazy views on this channel, but my whole thing is I'm trying to give you guys something a little bit different. I like talking about the industry. I don't think you're going to find many YouTubers in this space that talk about stuff going on in the industry. So I'll continue to do this. I don't mind about the views. It's more about giving you guys different content. A lot of people are covering the same stuff, or they're covering sort of the gossip stuff. We've had a lot of that, especially over the last little month. I want to focus more on just, stuff that's not being covered. So in case you weren't aware, hopefully you were today, about some of the changes with Paramount and with Morning Kombat. So yeah, if you guys want more of this content, let me know. Again, I'm happy to do something different here. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. My name is James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.